today we are making the oh so famous Baby Yoda. Isn't he adorable? Stay tuned to see how I made it. Hey guys, and welcome to this episode of Caked. My name is Asma, and today we are making the oh so famous Baby Yoda. He's on the new show called The Mandalorian on Disney+. It's a live-action Star Wars show, and I haven't yet had a chance to see it, but my husband saw it and said it was amazing so far. And I just saw Baby Yoda and thought he reminded me so much of my little Bubba, and I loved it. I thought he was just so cute that I had to make a cake out of it. So let's get to it. So I started with a super basic drawing of Baby Yoda just so I could get the basic shape going. I first cut the shape out in paper and then used that as a stencil to cut out my cardboard to go underneath his face. I used one 6-inch cake in green because it's Baby Yoda. I cut off the caramelization and then smoothed out the edges to make him more round. I then used a stencil to cut out vaguely where the eyes would go. I then covered his face in chocolate ganache and put it in the fridge to cool. For this cake, I used modeling chocolate for his face instead of fondant, so I colored some modeling chocolate in green and then rolled it out exactly like I would do for fondant and covered his face. Smooth out where the eyes would go and then trim off the edges. I decided to use modeling chocolate for this cake because it's much more forgiving when you're making detailed cakes, and you can do a lot more than you can with fondant. So I really like the fact that I use modeling chocolate for this cake, but it can be finicky. So if your hands are too hot, or if it's too hot in the room, or if it's too cold in the room, then it definitely can pose a problem for you. So you just have to be patient with it. If your hands get too hot, take a break. If your hands are too cold, warm them up. You just have to go with the flow. If things start to get a little sticky, just sit back and wait for it to dry out a little bit. You kind of just have to play with it. You also see me switch back and forth between using my hands and gloves and tools in this video. Gloves and tools allow you to blend things in a lot nicer than you can do sometimes with your hands. So do whatever works best for the situation and the environment that you're in. After adding my eyes in black fondant, I started adding modeling chocolate pieces wherever I thought was necessary. For this kind of cake, you want to have a picture of Baby Yoda in front of you so that you have a reference to look at. And remember, this will take time, so just have a lot of patience and have fun with it as you go. You could also use a 50-50 between modeling chocolate and fondant if that makes it easier for you. It'll make it more pliable like modeling chocolate but won't melt as much, and it'll be easier for you to use if you're used to using fondant. This is currently giving me Alien ET vibes. I'm just gonna roll with it and see what happens. With modeling chocolate, you don't really need to use water or anything to stick pieces to it. It just kind of sticks to itself, so just keep adding and removing wherever you think it should go. Stop, cut the video, time out. I am not digging this Yoda. He looks more like old man Yoda than Baby Yoda. Ugh. So because I didn't like the way Yoda was turning out, all I have to say is thank God that I used modeling chocolate instead of fondant. Because modeling chocolate is so much more forgiving than fondant is, after a few days of staring at Yoda and contemplating how to fix it, I actually just took modeling chocolate and went right back in and started adding things in wherever I felt necessary. Thank goodness modeling chocolate goes off of heat, so it took a little while for me to start using it again, but right when I started putting my hands on it, I just added more cheeks to him, and it made it so much better. So Now Baby Yoda looks more like a baby once again. And then when I was done, I also didn't like his super frowny face, and so I just cut off his mouth and redid it. And voila, you can just redo whatever you don't like. Thank goodness for modeling chocolate. Then for his body, I used a 6-inch round chocolate cake, and then I just added 2 pieces of chocolate cake mixed with icing for his shoulders. I know it kind of looks like Mickey Mouse here, but I just needed a placeholder for his shoulders to go. I again covered it in chocolate ganache and put it in the fridge to cool. For the bottom, I actually used fondant because I didn't need to do too much detail, so I used some peach fondant that I had because I'd be painting it anyway and covered the bottom. I covered a cake board with black fondant and sprinkled it with some white edible paint, and then added the head and the body to the cake board. Took a wooden dowel and put it right through his head around eye level. You don't really have to do this step if it's lying on the board. You could just put the ears directly onto the board, but I felt that this helped bring up the ears a little bit more. I then took some more modeling chocolate and built my ears on the dowels itself. You'll also notice that his ears are a different color than his face color, but don't worry about that because I'll just be painting him later. I melted some cocoa butter and added some powdered colors to the cocoa butter to make the color for Yoda. Now that I look at him closely in the show, he probably should have been a little bit more blue or green, but this will work too. Then just keep adding the color until you get the color that you like. To color modeling chocolate, you can't just use regular liquid gel colors like you would do for fondant, because it's water-based and modeling chocolate is oil-based. And if you tried to use it, it would just beat up on the surface and they wouldn't actually blend in. So you either have to use powdered colors, which work the best if your modeling chocolate is freshly done and it's still a little bit soft and warm, or if it's a little bit dry like mine was after a couple of days and you want to color it still. I got some cocoa butter, I melted it and mixed my powdered colors in with the cocoa butter, and it becomes like a paint for you, just like it would for watercolors. So there you go. Then I used some of my pink and burgundy powdered colors and started dusting his ears and his eyes and his mouth a little bit to give him that Baby Yoda look. Don't add too much or it will start to look like Old Man Yoda again. Then I used some of my Edible Art black paint to make his eyes black. And then for the body, I just started adding brown pieces of fondant to make it look like he was wearing a blanket / robe because he's a little baby. And I also added 3 little green fingers to fit right under one of his sleeves. Star Wars the movie comes out today. I had tickets to watch it, but I had to stay home with my son, so I'm just gonna have a baking day and watch some cheesy Christmas movies. So my hubby is going to watch it and he is so excited. Are you going to see it today? Are you an opening day fan like he is? To add some texture to his robes, I crushed up some foil and made little dots all over his robe. I used some ivory and brown food coloring to paint his robes, and don't forget to use the same color that you used for his face for his fingers also. And that's basically it. I think he turned out pretty great. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you like this cake, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel. And if you are watching the new Star Wars today, or if you've seen The Mandalorian, please let me know in the comments below what you thought and whether you think I should give it a watch. I hope you guys have an awesome weekend, last weekend before Christmas. I hope you guys shop till you drop and enjoy your holidays with your family and your friends. Thank you so much for watching, guys. See you next week. Bye.